This episode of Voices of the Elephant is brought to you by Nomad PHP. Start a habit of continuous learning. Visit nomadphp.com and subscribe today. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Voices of the Elephant. We're here in beautiful Washington, D.C. at PHP World, and my special guest here is Rachel Baker. Rachel, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Now, I've known you since, I believe, we met first time in Minneapolis, at WordCamp Minneapolis?
WordCamp Milwaukee.
WordCamp Milwaukee.
Last summer.
It was an M word, I was close.
It's good.
But, and you are one of the core developers on the new WordPress API.
That's correct. I'm one of the, we have two lead developers of the project, and myself and Ryan McHugh.
Oh, okay. Talk to us a little bit about why y'all built this.
Sure. So Ryan started the project. WordPress had a community summit in 2012 or so, and Ryan McHugh had the idea that WordPress should have a REST API, and he started the project as a Google Summer of Code project.
Oh, cool.
And thought it would probably just take a few months, and turns out that after the summer was over, there was still a lot to do. And about 2 years ago, a little around there, I saw the progress that he was making, and I thought that it really needed to happen, and just kind of hopped in and helped them together for the past 2.5 years. We've been working on it. We have over 60 contributors, and we've been able to get it to the point where now in WordPress 4.4, which comes out on 2 or 3 weeks, scheduled for December 8th, but we will have the internals of the API will be included in WordPress.
So it's actually, it's moved into core.
The infrastructure is already in front in WordPress core, and then the endpoints, the idea is that those will be a release behind.
That is one thing I've seen happen a couple of times, and I'm watching another plugin right now that is two-factor authentication. Mm-hmm. And WordPress has this great thing of feature plugins.
Yes.
And it's, I don't know why other projects don't do this, but basically, before you can propose a new feature, you write it as a plugin, and once it gets finished, then they vote and roll it in the core.
Yes. It makes it so especially with WordPress or projects with release cycles, it makes it so, okay, so if you want this feature, you go ahead and let's start building it externally to the project, and then when it gets to a point where that's ready, then we'll consider it for a release.
That is a phenomenal feature of WordPress, and like I said, I've got the two-factor authentication, and they're expecting to be in core sometime in February, and I've already got it implemented in one of my WordPress sites, and it's like, I know that it's not finished, but it's finished enough. So
yeah,
it is great. So now I know originally, let me say that. I think I know. Originally, it was called the WordPress JSON API, and then it went to WordPress REST.
Yes.
So talk to me a little bit about the evolution of the project.
Sure. So, yes. We have naming problems.
Everybody has that.
Yes. So it was originally, Ryan called it the JSON API. And the problem with that is there's a plugin in the WordPress plugin repo called the JSON API.
Oh, wow.
As well as WordPress.com has their own JSON API. So it was confusing to people. And it's not, JSON is actually just the format that data is output in, and it's not actually a good representation of what the project really is, because in all honesty, you can use the API and change the output format and have it be CSV or XML or whatever you want. Really, the core premise behind the whole project is the RESTful API part. So we had to figure out, we had the conflicting name problem, and WP REST API just fit a lot better to what the project really is.
And I'll admit a little confusion when I first saw it, because I was like, this is cool, WordPress has an API, but why is it only JSON? You know? And it turns out it wasn't, but again, naming issues. So. Well, that is very cool. Hey, one of the things you're doing here and at the mini events that you go to is recruiting for the company you work for.
Yeah. So
Talk to us a little bit about that.
I work for the Wirecutter, thewirecutter.com, and we have a sister site called The Sweet Home. We do consumer reviews for technology products, or as well as home products. So you and I are speaking on these fancy microphones. One of the things we'll do is we'll review a bunch of podcast microphones. So the best podcast microphone. And give you some options, and they're like 30,000 words on our review. But the site's been around for about 3 years, and we're just starting to ramp up our internal development. I've been there since May or so, and I was their first internal development hire, and we now have an internal team of 3 and continue to grow it. We run on our CMS is WordPress. We have PHP, we have a PHP API and internal applications as well. So we're trying to reach out and find people to hire.
Well, this is a good place to look. So.
It's a long con.
Yes, it is. And I did a talk on hiring developers yesterday, and that's what I tell people is if you need it now, then pay the tax, hire a recruiter. But if you're in it for the long haul, then this is a great place to start building thought leadership and start making relationships that eventually are going to turn into good hires.
Yeah.
So. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us today. I'm excited to see that the API is going into core. I've had several ideas of, hey, it's not there yet. So I've just released a new project called the CFP report, and there's a lot of include all of WordPress in here so I can get to this feature or that feature, and I'm looking forward to refactoring a lot of that out with the new API.
Okay. Excited to have people like you have their eyes on it and give us some feedback so we can get the endpoint solid and get that rolled in the future as well.
Well, thank you for being with us here on Voices of the Elephant, and thank you for being part of the WordPress community and also part of the PHP community, because people like you and Eric Mann and a lot of others are now starting to cross-pollinate, and I keep telling everybody, we've got a lot in the PHP community that we can learn from WordPress, and I know that there are things that we've learned that we can share with you all. I'm excited to see the developers in these communities start to come together.
Yeah, me too. And actually, that's a great point. It's one of my favorite things, honestly, about the WP REST API is that if you're a PHP or a JavaScript or any other type of developer, and you were like, I hate WordPress, I don't want to work with it, but you need to in some way. This makes it so, it makes it easy for you to do that.
Yeah.
You can just forget that someone's entering content into WordPress and then take that data and display it in whatever way you want, and it kind of, I think, opens our community up to be much friendlier to those outside of it.
Well, and to me, it makes WordPress so much more useful. I mean, we're going off on a tangent after I thank you.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. With the CFP report, all it does is send out an email to everybody who joins that says, okay, these are the open CFPs. Well, without WordPress, I have to write user management and content management and all this just to generate these emails. And I was able to put this together basically in a weekend by putting up WordPress, writing about 250 lines of code, and Mandrill sending out my emails. And I concentrated on the 10 or 20% that makes what I do special,
right,
and I didn't have to worry about all the other stuff. And that's what I love about what WordPress has evolved into. Because I was using WordPress when it first came out just as my blog,
right,
and it's just been fun watching it grow and watching it mature.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Voices of the Elephant. Voices of the Elephant is copyright EICC Incorporated and released under a Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Share and Share Alike license. To nominate someone to be a guest on Voices of the Elephant, visit our website and click on the Nominate link. The URL is voicesoftheelephant.com. Elephant is of course spelled ELEPHPANT.